Hey everybody, Mowers and Blowers here again on a rainy Monday, Columbus Day. This is the remnants of Nate, Tropical Storm Nate, that would just hit the Gulf Coast. Not too bad. Anyway, so today I've got the truck in the garage and I've decided I'm going to work on this Simplicity Coronet riding mower. As you guys remember, this is from the mother load pick, which I actually only picked this up for 30 bucks. The only thing wrong with it was that he says it doesn't move anymore, so I guess it might be the drive belt or the linkage connected to the gearbox. I haven't messed with that yet because I actually only started it up the other day with some starter fluid. And so it started up and ran, but it didn't stay running. It just shut off, stalled. So I'm thinking there's something wrong with the carburetor or the fuel system. So today, since I'm inside, I don't have a lot of working room, but I got the canopy up and decided to take off the air filter. So the air filter was kind of a pain to get off because there was so much dirt and stuff that I couldn't see where the bolts were. But I finally did get the air cleaner off. It was just 2 bolts attached to that thing, you know, and there's like this crazy bracket there that was just there but wasn't attached to anything, so I'm not really too sure what that's for. Anyway, right now it looks like it's just 2 more bolts to loosen the carburetor. Also, the governor linkage over here needs to be disconnected. So I disconnected the fuel line over here, and you know, I really didn't have to plug it up because there really hardly was any fuel coming out. So I think that has something to do with why it won't maintain the, it won't stay running, you know. So when I had it level, like about like that, right, it trickled out, you know, very lightly. If I just lifted it up like this, above the fuel line right here, you know, that level, when I raised it up, it stopped. But, you know, it's supposed to pour out, you know. And so I noticed that if you take a close look here, the end is all cracked. So that may have something to do with the seal. But at the same time, though, it still should pour out, you know, and it's not pouring out. So it's either it needs a new fuel filter, or it's run all the way over here to the part where the rubber grommet meets the fuel tank. So I'm thinking I'm gonna remove this, and if it pours out, right, then I'll know that this fuel valve over here is okay if it pours out. If it doesn't pour out, then there's some blockage over here for sure. That's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna try to pull this hose off, and I'm gonna try to catch the fuel with this soup container. So I just drained the fuel tank. I just basically pulled the valve grommet out, and so I was kind of in a little bit of a pickle because I didn't have anything to catch it with. So I basically, you know, had that soup container, but once it filled up, I had to put my finger on the hole, and because this was going to overflow, and then I had one finger in here, and I reached for one of those empty containers here so I could dump that into there so that I can refill this again. So it was kind of a mess. But anyhow, so the gas tank is now, you know, drained, and I'm going to remove this valve here and clean it out with carburetor cleaner just to make sure that there's not a lot of stuff built up in there. Inside that soup container, there was some sediment on the bottom, you know, some dirt. So I think that's what it was, is that this is clogged with crap, right? Which in turn has clogged this fuel filter, which means that not enough fuel is getting through here, the flow, which is starving the carburetor for any gas, which is the reason why it won't stay started, you know? So I'm going to try that, at least, and see if that works out. I'm going to remove this fuel filter and put another one in. I think I have one somewhere. I'm going to cut the end of this hose here because it's chipped, not chipped, but cracked, you know. So I'm going to cut it about 1/2 inch, like right there, so that there's a clean seal. I know that there has something to do with the length of the fuel line, that if it's too long or too short, it has something to do with the way it flows fuel there. But I'm not going to remove the carburetor because apparently the problem could be just in the fuel line. I don't want to open up a can of worms if there's nothing wrong with it, right? So I'm going to try what I just said first, connect it up and see if it starts and maintains well. If it doesn't, then I'll remove the carburetor, you know? So it's all about troubleshooting and triaging, right? So I'm going to get started on removing this and cleaning it out. Hey guys, so I've figured out what's wrong. So I removed the hose from this valve. Look in there. It's completely clogged. No wonder there wasn't any fuel getting in there. It's completely clogged. It's completely, I mean, I'm surprised there was that much fuel getting to it, you know? So that needs to be, this is a problem, you know? I need to clean that out for sure. And it'll flow smoothly. And I've cut that part there, and I'll cut that part there and reassemble and give it a try. This should do it. I took like this wire and jammed it in there. And the wire is like all orange and stuff. So I'm gonna now shoot some carburetor fluid in here while I have you. See if this will work. I'll try to do it with one hand. All right. Oh my goodness, you saw that? Look at that. Just look at this crap. That was inside. All that. See? Blew it out like that. Crazy, right? So I blasted that out really well. All the crap came out of there. If you look inside the fuel tank now, it's very clean too. So I've chopped this part off so it's nice and straight. And I've actually removed the fuel filter here and blew it out. It actually, believe it or not, was pretty clean. I could see through it and blow through it, and I could see the mesh part was clean. But nevertheless, I still blew it out with some carburetor cleaner. Cut the end of that hose there, so now it attaches nice and snugly. Routed it back over here, and now I'm going to reinstall this into the fuel tank. That's reinstalled. Line now runs straight into the fuel filter, right, and right into the carburetor. Now looking at the holes there, as long as I got it access to it, I'm going to take some carburetor fluid, cleaner, sorry, and I keep getting that mixed up. And I'm going to blow into that hole, just because. And then I'm going to replace that fuel that was clean back in there. So I've put everything back and put some fuel in there. And so I'm, of course I ran out of, my battery died when I was trying it before, and I think it needs a new battery too eventually. It keeps the charge, you know, maybe overnight or something like that, but it's not very strong. So I'm gonna just give her a try here. Almost. Alright, so now it looks like we fixed that problem. Engine starts now, runs pretty good, and I'm gonna put this air cleaner back after I brush it off a little bit, and then we're gonna tackle the other problem, which is why it doesn't move. So I'm gonna have to find a way to, in this cramped space, to jack up the riding mower somehow and crawl under there and just take a look and see what's preventing it from getting into gear or something. Maybe I'm hoping it's just a drive belt, which is very easy to replace. Well, not very easy, but at least I know what it is, Anyway, so I'll do that later, and we'll see you soon. Hey guys, so today I was working on the reason why this Simplicity Coronet 9 5-speed riding mower didn't move. That was the reason why the owner practically gave it away for 30 bucks. But so I mean, I jacked this thing up left and right, looked underneath, checked the belts, checked the transmission. For a second I thought the transmission was gone. It's a pureless transmission, and I thought it just gave away, whatever, but then I thought about it, and I says, you know what, let me take the wheels off. So I took this wheel off, and everything looked fine. And then I says, you know what, I was about to give up, and I said, I'm just gonna resell this again as is, because I didn't want to spend $200 or something on a used transmission, and then it's a lot of work putting that stuff in too. So anyway, I took this wheel off too. So it's a cover with a bunch of washers in there and a C-clip. And when I took this wheel off, I realized that this did not have a keyway. That like square metal thing that, basically without a keyway, this is freewheeling. So when the axle is moving, when the transmission's moving, the transaxle spins, but it doesn't grab onto the wheel. And since obviously it's not posi traction, right? So when one has a keyway and the other one doesn't, it's just going to freewheel and spin. So it didn't move. So I fabricated a keyway and I put it in. Eureka! Go around the block for a spin in my new riding mower that I got for 30 bucks. I do have to figure this out, because the PTO doesn't work, so I can't mow the lawn yet. Anyway, we fixed the carburetor, we got it started.